Good afternoon, my wonderful, wonderful, lovely, lovely people. All right, beautiful people, wonderful people. Let me see if I can begin here. So I was scrolling TikTok this morning and I saw a TikToker that I follow. He was talking about this white Canadian woman who seems to have visited Jamaica over a number of years because it's an island, or a country rather, I should say, she loves very much. In fact, she said she doesn't even want to marry anyone. She would want the government of Jamaica or the relevant authorities to just grant her the privilege of becoming a citizen. That's how much she loves Jamaica. She even has a tattoo of the Jamaica's map on her back, which she assumes that, maybe other Jamaicans do not. Perhaps she's right. We don't know. But she was the woman because she reminded us of who she was. I don't remember if or recall if some persons or some people had remembered this white Canadian woman who was talking about was airing her frustration on the beggars in Jamaica. The constant begging. She said they beg for credit, they beg for this, they just beg, 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 beg. And she said she got a lot of flack for it and heat. So she had actually removed the video, and people were benefiting from the video, but she kind of regrets removing the video because in truth and in fact, she's saying that what she has posited is truth. Now, she came back in fairly recent times, a Jamaican social media personnel was interviewing her, and she was speaking about the Jamaican TikTokers. Some of the words I'm going to repeat verbatim. I had to play it. It's about almost a 30-minute long, almost. And I played it over and over because I wanted to be fair to her. And I don't want to come from a color perspective, or some may say race or ethnic perspective, but a human perspective. I want us to be as fair because I figured in repeating and in listening to her, I get the impression she really wasn't trying to come from a race perspective per se, though she had to speak about her own race, because we have to be fair. If we're talking, I would have to come from a black experience as a black woman, if you understand, because my experience and a white person's experience and a Chinese person's experience and an Indian person's experience may differ because of cultural differences, and we have to accept reality. She said, and let me make sure I quote her well, it is terrible. It is ghetto. She said the Jamaican TikTokers are ghetto. It is terrible. She used the word ghetto. She used the word terrible. And she was talking about, she said, you can't come with your big fat slob self, her words, and you look unkempt. That's my word now. I don't want to go her words, my words, so that we confuse the conversation too much. So, but I remember her mentioning about, and she's fat, by the way, guys. She said, you must look presentable. You don't go with your hair looking unkempt, untidy, shabby and shoddy. If your braids need to do properly, you do it properly. You don't have to overdo the eyelashes and whatnot, but ensure that you look ready for camera. You must be camera ready. And for those who understand, let us use TV live to cover everything, whether you're on the cameras or you're doing vlogs. What people don't understand is that people go by what they see. We go by what we see. So it is imperative that your outward appearance is attractive. Notice I'm not talking about beauty. I'm talking about you must look appealing to your audience, unless you're trying to sell a particular story, or you want to do something. You may find that a raggedy look, a shaggy look may be better for you. You may find that, unless it is for a purpose. Outside of that, really and truly, you must be as though you're going to be performing, because it's like you're on the television, so to speak. It's still a screen situation going. So you must look good. And she said we must represent Jamaica well. We must represent Jamaica well. So what she's saying, if we are to dissect it, is that, and I heard another vlogger was very angry because he says when it comes from a white person, we tend to listen. But if a black person had said it, they would have been sent to the gallows. There may be truth to it, and that is because of socialization. It is systemic about the whole white supremacy and black inferiority. If what I'm saying is incorrect, then we would not have had Black Lives Matter. Why would you need to say Black Lives Matter? Why would we need to be talking about our ancestry in terms of slavery? So you understand the reality that as a black people, our ancestors faced slavery in a heinous manner. Today we do face it, maybe in a different sense. It may not be as a physical, traumatic thing as they did back in the day. It would have been verbal, psychological, and predominantly probably physical, you know, being barred from really being a human in its fullness. You know, today we still see a sort of segregation. We still see where it says that 1% of the world's wealth is in the hands of the black. So I ask the question, what happened to the other 99%? Where is it? You know? And I thought she spoke truth as it relates to the Jamaican TikTokers. I think I kind of had agreed with the TikToker when I initially heard, but when I listened to her over and over, she really was not saying everyone. She was speaking predominantly. The algorithm is set so much that when you come across the very popular, I think she was talking about the popular ones, that a lot of them are lewd, crude, vulgar, and as in her words, ghetto. And we have to be careful that we don't sell a story about our country like that, because it may give an impression that, you know, there are imbeciles here, people who they're brainless, they're unintelligent, emotionally unintelligent, their IQ is very low or little to none. We have to be careful of the story that we sell. So I don't think, to be honest, that she was speaking about every TikToker. If you're not popular, it's hard to really speak about it, because when the other TikToker was commenting on her post, you know, he talked about when you look at the positive vlogs, you know, when people do their lives, you barely can count the number of people who will go in and watch. You barely can count the number of people. People are driven to things that are negative. People are driven to things that are just not wholesome. And one of the things that they don't understand is that psychologically, emotionally, socially, and mentally, they are diabetic. Their cholesterol level emotionally and psychologically and socially is high. Educationally, it is cancerous, because what has happened is that they have over the years fed themselves predominantly with negative information. Remember, we are mind, body, soul, and spirit. You cannot separate one from the other. They all work in tandem. Yes, they may play different roles, but the similar effects that affects the body, if you ingest bad things consistently or invariably, it's a similar effect psychologically, emotionally, socially, and educationally that will affect you if you constantly listen to negative things. She has a very good point when she said it is ghetto, it is bad. I remember once I said to myself, because I did sociology, and so I consider myself in a sense, and you know, a kind of ad hoc or not unorthodox, like not unofficial, but somewhat a social scientist. So I like to understand different cultures and subcultures and backgrounds, and you know, people, how they're growing up. And when I sit in some lives, we can see a dichotomy. It's like looking at the daytime versus looking at the nighttime. It is diametrically different. Sometimes it is so lewd, crude, and vulgar. You feel like the words are cutting you physically. It is horrible. It is awful. And I cannot fathom how people, it's almost like a vampire situation. Like it's like the people are drawn, like how the vampire is drawn to blood, to these negative things. Like they can't help themselves. They have to hear it. It stirs something maybe in the prefrontal, you know, lobe, in their heads. I don't know, but what happens after a while, it makes you become, you're somebody filled with strife, malice, anger, rage, and almost every evil thing, and you can't pinpoint why, but a lot of these lives that you've been sitting in are horrible. She's right, it is ghetto and terrible. It is bad. Not everyone. We're talking about especially ones that are very popular. Guys, you know what to do with TikTok and YouTube. subscribe, give me one of those